we jigged the other day. When we went out not intentionally jigging, but it was a little bit in our mind. We're going to go deep dropping because we're doing a deep dropping seminar a few weeks ago, and our plan was to do that, but it was quite rough on the way out. We thought we're probably not going to get maybe not deep dropping, so let's have a quick go on the kingies, which we did. And I think after about 2 drifts, we'd already bagged out pretty well.
Yeah.
And there's 4 of us, so only allowed 2 kingfish each, or you can have a Amberjack or Samson as casters too as well, mixed. Okay, so you can have 2 kings, 2 Amberjacks, 4 each. The fish that we were catching were averaging on that particular day between about probably 3 kilo, be the smallest one, I guess, and to about 8 or 10 kilo. A lot around that 6 to 8 kilo size, and around that metre long. And we lost some bigger ones. We got sharked, and they were really hardcore going. They were crazy hungry, really, which is really good. One of the best tests we've had for a long time. Anyhow, we only did a few drifts, and then we got our bag and we punched our way out for 2 hours to the spot for deep dropping, and we got there, and it was very hard and very difficult and very rough. So after a couple of hours of doing that, we came back, and on the way back in, we said, let's have another go at the kings. We bagged out, but let's have some fun. So we dropped down again, and straight away, 3 rods hooked up. Straight away, everyone's just running around the deck, and there's fish going everywhere. But the Amberjack come on, so we got a few Amberjacks, which was good. So we had to keep a few more fish. And we just left them biting. So, yeah. But anyhow, we'll get to the gear. So, when you're going to go out fishing the other day, what I was relating to was we lost a few fish to sharks, okay? And fish got us on the bottom, a couple of good ones perhaps as well. So, you need to have probably in your arsenal, probably around about at least three jigs per person jigging. Does that make sense? On the boat, because otherwise you might get bitten off by a shark straight away, and then you go home. In saying that, we'll take live baits, but jigs are better. Okay, so whatever jigs you choose, that's up to you guys, and whatever style you choose to do, that's up to you guys too. But you can slow pitch jig for kingfish. So us older folk, it's a lot more pleasant because I don't know if you've ever jigged fast jigs. It is quite hard work. It's an adrenaline thing. So Stu will probably tell you, as soon as you do it 2 or 3 drops, and you're like sitting out to the guy looking at that's driving the boat, saying, "You not put us on a fish," or you're saying to yourself, "Maybe one more drop, I'll drop that again." But as soon as you hook up, then it's just if you forget about all that and you just go hell for leather and you catch them, right? So the adrenaline cuts in. But that's with these sort of longer type jigs like this style, right? Okay. But with the slow pitch jig, which is a shorter style like this style here, which you can actually jig some of these fast as well, or even a bit shorter like this style here. I'll pass this around shortly when we start talking about them. But with that style, you can actually just do slow pitch jigging and just lift it up and down. So the technique's a lot slower, but you still catch kingfish that way as well. Okay. But everyone likes to go fast jigging normally. Yeah. But anyhow, Stu, you want to add in before we start talking about the jigs?
Like I think kingies are definitely one of those things that do respond better to a fast jig. It's definitely an ambush bite, and like they're a pelagic fish, they're a fast fish. Yeah, they're not short and fat; they're long and skinny and muscle. Yeah, they swim fast. Yeah.
Has anyone got a 10 kilo kingy in here at all? Seriously? Cool one, yeah. Cool one general. You have, okay. So you know how they fight. Yeah, the rocket, that's right. So even though 3 kilo kingy, serious, like it's about that big, chunky, you think you've got a 15 kilo fish on, and they fight unbelievable. And then when you get it up and its little tail's this big, you think, how does it do that? But it does, but they go hard. Anyhow, get back to the jigs. So with the jigs, we'll start with the jigs. So with the jigs, it depends on the outfit you're using. So if you're using like a spin, who uses spin outfits here? Okay, so and overhead? If you use overhead as well. So you get in the rhythm of how you're jigging, right? So some guys can't get the rhythm with overhead and they can spin and vice versa. So it's a personal thing, but you should learn to do both, okay? Because if you get spooled or whatever it might be, or whatever's happened, prop wrapped or whatever, and you just lost 100 meters of braid, and you've got a spin outfit then and using overhead, you need to adapt. Okay, still got the jigs in the bag, they're ready to go straight back down, so you should learn to adapt. The sort of gear that we're using, or I'll show the gear first, then we'll go probably to the jigs after that, I guess, and so what size matches the rods and reels. But just behind you there, Stewie. So this is probably a biggest selling jig outfit. This is a P3 to 5, so it is quite soft on the tip. And it's got 50-pound braid on it. It's a Torian 20. Torian 20 is probably, again, out of all the brands we sell, it's our biggest selling jig reel. In that sort of, we class this as a medium to heavy jig outfit. Okay, there's heavier, and there's also lighter. And then in the high end of stuff, I don't know if you brought your Oshia on, did you?
Oh, that's a
4,000.
That's a slow one, but that's 4,000.
Yeah. So those two types of reels, that's the Saltiga and an Oshia. Oshia 4,000. That's the 2,000 is the next size down from that one, and the 4 is probably our biggest seller in the high end stuff. So you can see the reels are a similar size, right? Very similar size. So capacity on line, if you're using like just standard 50-pound braid, around about on this fella, around about 350 meters or 400 meters. And on that one there, Stewie's got around about 500 probably. Yeah, 500. Yeah. And as I said, the rod's quite soft, but you need the rod to sort of not, if you're going fast, you can not bend down too much. If it bends down too much and you're going like that, it's all skill whiff and out of whack. It's got to keep the momentum, and you've got to keep up with the fall of the jig. So the weight's on it all the time. It's not actually, it's free falling, but you're keeping up to the slack line as it's free falling to come back up again. Okay, and the action's like so. Stewie, your action on that one?
I prefer spin to go fast. Yeah, but it's
you're
fast.
adapting here, mate.
You
do use the 4,000. You do use the 4,000.
Look, I varied on the day. I like to fast, so I jig and I try to wind the rod around the handle, if that makes sense. So I'm not really moving the handle hand, I'm moving the rod hand. So it's very mechanical style. But the other day we jigged quite a bit, obviously, and towards the end I kind of got into a pattern which worked really well, and it was slow, mechanical at the start, and I worked it up 20 to 30 meters. So multicolour braid's a very big thing. So you know where your jig is, you know where you are, and you can obviously look at fish on the sounder, which we'll go through later. So worked it up 30 meters or 20 to 30, and then I'd just crank as fast as I could for one colour, so 10 meters, stop, and start again. And 2 jigs in every single time I got a fish. Every time.
So we're jigging the other day.
Jigged after the stop, yeah.
Yeah, so we're jigging at 85 meters deep roughly, and the fish are coming up to about probably around the 50 meter mark. That's how far at the bottom they're coming off the bottom. 30 meters, 35 meters, around about.
Yeah.
So that's the colour line helps it. But getting back to the jig size to suit that type of outfit there, you're going to be using at least 200 gram. In a short jig, maybe a 180 or 150, but in a long jig, 200 to 300 would be the perfect size on something like that. If you went for something lighter like Stewie's one there, the Saltiga one maybe.
So this is more of a slow pitch style rod, so it's longer for a start. So you don't have as much leverage. So the rod's a lot more forgiving. It's a lot softer in the tip. That's short stuff, short and stiff. You want a lot shorter rod because it's so stiff. It's like having a 4x2 timber that's 7 foot long. If you held it and your mate grabbed on the other end, he's going to ragdoll you. He's going to rip you anywhere where he wants you to be. Whereas if it's short, you can rip him off the ground with it.
So that type there, Stewie's using like that style, like a short style, and a little bit slowing it down in the technique. Yeah. And when you do the slow ones, you're definitely using like double-ended top and bottom. When you're going fast, sometimes the bottom hook, if you've got two lots of hooks on top and bottom, it'll come up and hook onto your line, and then you just feel a bit heavier, and you think, oh, what's this? And you wind up, and the jig's coming up like that all the way up. So you've only just started jigging. You're at 82 meters, and you've done that first lift. So you've got to wind it all the way back up to the top. Meanwhile, your mate's having a fat time on a fish, and then drop it back down again. So my suggestion is, if you're going to do fast jigging of long jigs, unless you use a slow technique with that type of jig, which you can, don't use hooks top and bottom. Okay. But just trying to show the outfits, the jigs. Everyone goes through all the jigs. Then you can relate your outfit, what you have, or what you're thinking of maybe getting, to what size jigs we're using. And then spin gear, same scenario. So this is a heavy spin outfit. Again, soft tip, but but reasonably strong. That's a Socorro. So bang for buck, nothing comes near this combo, but it'll definitely do the job the right way. Okay, we'll talk about the price later. But they hold 300 metres of 50-pound braid again, perfect amount, and the rod's rated sort of at 40 to 60 pounds, so it's on the money as well. And then a lighter version of that, Stu. Have we got any soft pitch jigs there? In the spin?
That's softer.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what you used the other day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a softer version. So again, in a spin version, that's like the same one Stu's using before with those type of jigs, right? So does that make sense? So you got either heavy or you got light, fast or slow. That's how it sort of works. So now we'll talk about all the jigs that match that, if that makes sense. Yeah. Do you think you want to add to that, Stu?
Not really. I mean, like that you will get the odd rod that can do both, not too bad. I fast pitch jig off that, and it's really good.
You did actually the other day. You were,
yeah. But it's just one of those things.
If you get a softer tip, you need to wind faster on the fall and keep up to it. Otherwise, it gets a bit out of whack. But some rods are very soft. Okay.
The other thing is, and it's going to sound very strange, but it's easier to fast jig the heavier the jig is, because the jig has resistance against you. So if you try to fast jig something that's say 100 grams, it's very hard because every time you rip up fast, the jig's gone further than what it should, and then you can't pick up the line before you go down to the water, and there's nothing there. The jig's still going up. Whereas a heavy jig, it goes that, and every time it goes that way before you can pull up that line that you've just jigged. So that sweet spot for like a fast jig, I think it's about probably 250 grams, to be honest with you.
250 to 300.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder work, but it's definitely a better thing to do. And unfortunately, the drama I have out here is drift and wind and current. And if you're using too light, and you've got to have either someone on the helm that's backing up the whole time and sacrifices fishing, like I did, or you use a heavier jig that allows you to keep it vertical. Because it's very hard to catch fish jigging when the line's like that behind the boat. It just doesn't work. Does not work. It's got to be there pretty well. Yeah. So we'll go through the jigs. So on the lighter end, so we're talking in that sort of slow pitch style, like so. This is the type of stuff that we're using. My suggestion would be if you're using like 30-pound braid, if you want to be a big game and have some fun, I'd be using a maximum out at say 100 metres deep, or probably about 150 grams, but mainly 80 to about 120, 130 probably on 30-pound braid. On 50-pound braid, you'd need to start at about probably 100 and up to about 200 or 250. Okay. So these ones here are...
The main reason for the difference is just because of line drag.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get that belly in the line, it's line diameter. So thicker it is, more drag, heavier weight you need to do to keep it up and down ways.
Let's put a little sticker in there. But yeah, these are some jigs here. And you see some of them are hooked up, some of them are unhooked. So I'll just tell you something else. When we buy the Japanese jigs, they don't have any hooks on them, right? I know it's painful for you guys because it's not rigged up, whatever. But in Japan, there are no hooked up rig lures over there, hardly at all. Everything comes unhooked. And what they do is they do it a little differently to us. We put hooks on everything that we buy, where they run a wallet, the jig bag.
Just grab mine.
Yeah, yours history.
Yeah.
Is that gold in there?
Huh?
Is that gold in there?
I don't know the price of some of them. Might as well be.
So what they do is they have them bang, all different ones there, and they have the rig attached to the end of the line on the leader, and then they'll just have a good little pair of split ring pliers on their belt, and they'll just quickly put another jig on. And they'll jig with it, and it doesn't work or it's not heavy enough, they'll take it off, and they'll just grab another jig out of the wallet and put another one on the same rig jig. And the only time they change if it's a bigger lure, they need to change the hook size. So they sort of have a rod to do that. But
so you can just have everything like that. Nothing gets hooked up. So if I want a jig, it's just straight out and it's away. There's a jig. Or the other one or whatever. So the biggest thing is the hooks just get stuck, as Dougie said, in the bag, and it's easy. And I just have all my rods rigged like that. So
exactly like Stu's got there.
The other thing is when you're traveling out, going to your spot early morning, the jig doesn't fall off, bounce around, smash things, break rods before you even get there. And it honestly, if you get a decent pair of split ring pliers, it is so quick to put a jig on. So the other thing is when you are doing it, always just have it tied off to a solid ring, not the split ring. So if you tie off to the split ring, it can wind it on.
It's that quick.
That's quick.
Do you want to
but
cut
if-
that off and pass
yeah.
that around, Stu? Just watch the hooks are really sharp, folks.
But if you tie off to the split ring, you've got that join where the splits join together. It's very sharp. It'll cut your leader, carry on. Whereas
And the lead actually can fall out of that, that as well. Because when you're doing that sort of a lot of jigging, it does actually come out.
Yeah, we had a couple of jigs unwind itself the other day off the solid ring. So you wind it up and it's just a solid ring sitting there.
Yeah,
How they do it, don't know how.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. So does that make sense at all? Does that look good? Like we'd rather sell you a hook rig for every jig, but that's the proper way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always hooks on the top.
Always hooks on the top, mate. Yeah, and that's another like guys say, when to put the bottom. Well, firstly, it can hook on the bottom, but the most common thing is when you're jigging, the hooks slide up the line, but they fall back down again on the top. But on the bottom, it hooks under your line. You've got to wind it up again. Yeah, it's painful. But slow pitch jigging, I always use hooks top and bottom. So you really need to do prepare for both if you can. A light rod and a heavier rod. Yeah. Pretty well to do it right, you do, yeah. But the light setup becomes your float line / body mackerel, whatever combo, snapper. And your heavy one becomes your Dewey / trolling for mackerel, Spanish mackerel. You do the same thing with it. Right? Okay, so getting back to the rigs. These are ones that we do in Japan. So we've got a deal on these tonight, which I'll tell you about a bit later. These are Japanese in that style. But these ones the other day, I think they outdone pretty well.
They were pretty good, yeah.
They do a 150 and a 200 grams. So spot on the money on size. Stu, you did well on that one the other day, mate. Was it that one you used?
Nah, same one as that one going around.
Oh, is it?
That Shimano
Okay,
one,
yeah, there's a Shimano one, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you can get some really high quality jigs. That's Stewie said, look, they're beautiful, they're Japanese, they're expensive, but and they work really nice, but they get bitten off as quick as a $20 one. He's talking like $50 ones. It does, yeah. Secret squirrel stuff, that one, can't tell you too much. And Valley Hill do a great range of lures too. Unbelievable fins. These guys are actually Japanese, not made in. These actually made in China, but Japanese design. But bang for buck, they're really good. Like that's 130 grams, and they're like with a discount about $14 or something. More on the money. We haven't tried that colour yet.
No.
I want to try that. It's good with hooks too. So any questions on the short ones at all? So we're using that slow pitch type jig right over there. Other ones there and other brands.
Depth to weight.
Depth to weight. So that depends on the braid you're using, and it depends on the current and the wind. It's a whole lot of factors. But if your drift's going with the wind and it's reasonably fast, but it's pretty well straight down because the current's stronger than the wind, then you can get away with using lighter jig in deeper water. But if there's wind against current and the current's strong and the wind's going the other way, and therefore the current undertow is a lot faster, you'll need to beef it up a bit heavier. But as a rule, we're about 1 gram per meter.
Yeah, it's 1 to 2 grams per meter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 to 2
No
grams
more
per
than
meter.
2 generally. For
But
traditional slow pitch.
You can. I dig with 300 grams out of 50,000 all the time too. I changed the style of my jig. They're like longer.
Fast stuff's different, no rule. But slow pitch, that's the
slow
general
pitch,
rule,
yeah. Slow pitch is general rule. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about with the
long ones? With, yeah, we'll do that now. But they're those you can go right up to 400 if you want.
Yeah,
Because
no
it's a
real
different.
no,
No, not really.
As long as it gets down there.
It depends
quick.
and how good your stamina is
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, you're fast coming up, you're fast going down. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so any questions on the little ones coming around at all, guys? You all good? So there's slow pitch, light rods, reel size in a spin reel around a 5,000 size or 6,000 size. That's the perfect size. 4,000 minimum, 6 seems to suit pretty good, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Does it need to be high geared?
No, not necessarily. No, actually, we sell more low gear for slow pitch jig than we do high gear. It's more stronger. So when you want to turn the fish, it's got more power. The high gears, you got to sort of pump and wind it. You still got to pump and wind the other one too, but you got more turning power. Yeah, with the low gear. The ratio difference is not massive. It's like 6-1 versus maybe 5.3 or something like that. Yeah, there's not much difference. There is XH, so it might be 7-1, but they might be good to jig with. But once you let the fish up, they're terrible. They're too fast. Yeah. Okay, now that's all on that lighter stuff. So on the heavier stuff, which is the first couple of combos we showed you, we use a longer type jig, and in the longer type jigs, as Stewie said, the action is quite fast. You can only use hooks on the top, unless you're going to slow pitch a long jig, and you can slow pitch a long jig too, by the way, with double hooks. But as I was saying earlier, you don't want to go too fast because they'll get hooked up. Okay. But you can use jigs that are massively long. Like this is a new one from Jackal. It's like pretty big. Yeah, and that'll work as well. Okay.
The beauty about that being so thin and that weight down the bottom is going to sink really quick. So if you've got fast
go like this
current,
every
fast
time.
drift,
Yeah.
Must be good size, isn't it?
Well, they're feeding on big slimies and stuff, you know. Yeah. But you start off at probably around that 200 gram, as Stewie said, or 250. That seems to be the ideal weight, doesn't it? Yeah. And 300 is probably our most popular size. That used the other day, isn't it?
yeah, that.
No.
Or 260 and that.
260, yeah, right. So in those jigs again, there's Japanese versions. Again, this is Japanese style. The Japanese ones, that's a 325 gram. That worked well the other day as well. As did that one. So the ones that have got that style coming around made in Japan will do a really good deal on those tonight. And then we got heaps of new jigs, guys, like so many new jigs. These guys here, well-priced Japanese design jig, and work really well. 250 grams and 300 grams. That's true. And this fella. Tight. So it's just a matter of what you can make any color work. I think it doesn't need to be silver. It can be black. It can be green, orange, red. Doesn't matter. It's more your action and getting that reaction bite, like Stuart was saying. They attack as someone attack it, you know. There is another thing out too, which is a glow bite jig. These fellows here with the light in the middle, so it's got an eye in the middle, and it's water activated and it strobes. That's a strobe, flashing strobe. Haven't tried one yet. Haven't had a chance to try it the other day. Didn't actually know one on the boat, but they'll probably work as well in the right situation. Any questions on that at all, guys? So they're on the heavier rods, overhead or spin, doesn't matter. Okay. The maximum braid I'll jig with will be 80 pound, but it just seems to work much better if it's around that 50 or 60, 65 max.
You'd be using these in 100 metres.
Hmm.
Like when there's heaps of current and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you've got to back the boat up, mate. So someone's going to be on the backing up all the time.
Even with these bigger ones.
Yeah. Oh, look, don't get me wrong. If it's a calm day and there's not much current, I'll just go straight down. Yeah. But they seem to work. But I'd still use even 400 grams on a calm day with no current. Because that's maybe what they want to feed on the day. So that's what I'm saying. If you've got a few jigs in the boat, I'd have definitely one slow pitch short one, if not two, as a minimum. And then maybe 200 and a big long 400 in the long fast jigs, and work out what they might want. The other day, it didn't matter what we threw at them. No. They took everything, and we lost lots of jigs because the sharks or whatever. Yeah, and the sharks were very aggressive.
When you say 60 pound, you talk like a good quality P3.
Yeah, so that's right, good quality P3, yeah. So that's the other thing too, guys. The braid that you get on the combos here tonight, it's not too bad a quality. It's like P 3.5, I think, so 50 pounds, so it's not too bad. But if you get a cheaper braid, which you can get cheap braid, as you know, online and stuff, but PE5 is 50 pound, where PE5 in a good grade's like 90 or 100 pounds. Does that make sense? So then you go the other way. So we're trying to use like 50 or 60 pound. And if you've got a really good quality one, like if this one here's not too bad, that's PE3 is 50 pounds. So it's only 30 pound diameter, but it's 50 size. And this one here is PE5 is 70, so that's not too bad the quality as well. But if you've got a PE5 and it says only 50 pound, that's normally either a cheaper one or it's one that's very, very strong on the rocks and reef. But you got to sacrifice using you have to use a heavier jig and a lot of windage and current. So the thinner it is, as Stewie said, faster it falls, the better it is. Okay.
So what size reel, what spinning reel would you use?
Yeah, good question. So look, on a 5,000 size, I'd probably use PE3 around 50 pound. And on a 6, I'd use around 60 pound.
So
And on an 8,000, probably around 70, 80 pound.
You can still jig
Well, 8 or
with big
10.
stuff like 14,000s and 20,000s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the problem is they're big and they're heavy. You used to have to buy that size because they weren't as strong as they are now. So strength's got a lot better. Technology's got a lot better. So we can fish smaller for the same strength, same drag, probably more drag.
I was going to say, that's what I was going to say,
Yeah.
Stu, was the drag on reels has got incredible. So a 5,000 size reel never had it normally used to be about 6 or 8 kilos of drag max. That was a good reel. And then now it's like 12 or 18 kilos of drag on a little 5,000 size reel.
Yeah.
So you can fish 60 pound on it, no problems at all. And work it to suit that 60 pound braid.
Yeah.
Where before it was like didn't work at all.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You got smashed, got spooled, whatever. Yeah, so you can give it a bit of stick. In saying that though, you got to make sure your rod's able to handle it. So look at the rod. If it says P4, then it takes around 70 pounds. Okay. Yeah, so P2 is like 40 pounds.
40.
So just double it. Yep. And then fish your reel accordingly. Okay. Okay, no questions on the rods and reels and the lures? Are all good there so far? Okay.
Just a real quick one.
Yeah, mate.
With hooks, there's obviously walls and walls and walls. You go in and tackle shop, and there's so many different types of assist hooks. There's heaps. The biggest thing is trying to get the right size. You see on that jig that I passed around that I used the other day, those assist hooks are pretty big. It's fine as long as the assist hook gape or the gape of the hook is wider than the jig. You don't want a fish to grab the jig and the hook be smaller than the jig width and they slide straight off and miss it. It's got to be proud. So you want something when they grab it, they hold the back of the
around
hook.
that head area where you join the line to your lure. For some reason, the fish always attack the head part of the fish, of the jig. That's why the hook's up high. You think, well, it doesn't work, they should be on the bottom as we do on normal lures, but trust me, it works very well. Yeah. So, do you use 2 hooks or 1 hook? I'd use 2 hooks. 2 fish are actually easier to pull up than 1, believe it or not. They fight against each other and you just sort of pull them up 2 at a time. And you will get a lot of two fish on 1 lure. Yeah. Hook brands, as Stewie said, look, there's so many different types. There's a lot of UV stuff these days, and some of the hooks are actually bent, curved in like a tuna circle style. They work as well. It's just up to you guys what you want to choose on the day. Some hooks are very expensive. They're Japanese and full Japanese hand tied and ridiculous price. But it's up to you guys. We got both. We got everything. Yeah. And then you got hooks that have got stuff like this that I'll pass this around too. That have like an octopus or a squid skirt attached to the assist as well. I don't think they think it's a bit of bait or whatever, but it probably emulates maybe something else with the other bait fish that's going crazy up on the way up. So they might think it's 2 fish maybe, and they attack it. Yeah. So as Stewie said, you've got it in your bags. There's solid ring and split ring. And the solid ring's what you tie the line off, don't tie it to the split ring. And then if you got a lot of the hooks you buy these days have a little solid ring as well. Don't ever tie a line to that one though. So that'll go onto the split ring, and then your solid ring will be also on the split ring, as you saw the one going around, and you tie a line to that. There's probably a bit on that there, Stewie.
Yeah.
Split ring pliers, Stewie's used a little pair before. He's always defunking me on how things work. I'd use that on flathead lures. But I like a big man pair stew. Like this
Okay,
stuff.
so this is why you use a small pair of split ring pliers. The biggest thing is, if you use a big pair,
Mm.
you're gonna hate me for doing this, but I'm gonna do
That's
it.
what worked for me the other day, so I'm happy. We'll do Stewie's version and my version. How's that sound?
You can stretch split rings
Oh, you can, yes.
and open them, and they don't close. So Doug being half blind, that would be a split ring like he would open. I'm not going to do it, but you can see that. Whereas try doing that with a little one, you can't do it.
Mm.
Yeah. And then
But-
you get jigs wind off and do all that stuff. So
Is that split ring? Let's see if you've done this on purpose.
do it again, mate.
That's how I do it. Like that, that's enough.
That's fine. You
That-
can over
Pass
open
that
them,
around.
and
Pass
you
that
can
around,
stretch
Chris.
them.
Pass that around, mate.
Dougie just,
Dougie
just touched it with a pair of pliers, so that's all right. So he went like this, huzzah, open. But look, you can open them, you can over straighten them. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You can open
you
things
can
up.
open it.
And because they're tempered, they will not spring back all the time. They'll stay in that position. So don't overdo it.
Yeah.
Okay. Rightio. So we've worked out our gear. We've got our next thing is the leader. So what size leader are you going to use? Stu, what's your? I know you use
I'll
light.
just use 50 or 60 on everything. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On
so-
my heavy rod, I just run PE3. I don't run any heavier. I reckon if they don't get you on the braid, they get you on the leader anyway. And PE3 is 60 pound, and then you should run about a third of your breaking strain technically for drag. So it's 10 kilos of drag, which is a fair bit of drag. So, but look, I just fish, 60 on most of it. And on the heavy rod, I'll fish 120 just in case I'm getting done. That's it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like to use 50 on my light stuff, 80 on my like the heavier stuff.
Yeah.
But we've been out there and just no matter what we use, we just get smashed on the bottom. But they're generally big amberjacks, like 40 kilo ones or 30 kilos. And in that case, you'd need to up it to like 120 or 130 pound if you want to see one of those. But you won't get it on PE3. It'd be very rare. It'd be probably you'll need 80 pound to get that up. And in the brands, we got that stuff there, which is our biggest selling stuff, cast. But in the heavier stuff, if you want to try and get stuff because the jigs, you don't want to lose the action of the lure, and a lot of leader is quite stiff, and when it's stiff, the lure's not going to fall as nicely and whatever. And when you get up to over 100 pounds, some of the leader's terrible.
Yeah. This is probably the only style of fishing that I'll say don't use fluoro. Just use standard mono just for that jig
Right.
action because
Yeah.
it is a lot softer.
Right.
Even 50 pound fluoro, it's going to be stiffer than say 130 pound standard mono.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So that's 105, but it's quite nice, right? But a lot of it's like that.
Coily,
It's
yeah.
coily. So when you do get stuff that's if you want to go the full hog, you need to get stuff that's fairly strong. Fairly limp, sorry. No memory is what it's called. A bit like my head. Our UV's that's the
That's
best.
good,
That's
yeah.
the best stuff. It's the softest. Yeah. So we sell UV leader downstairs at 130, 150, and 200. You can hand tie the lot. You don't need to crimp it, and it's extremely supple. Yep. Okay. So our leader, Stewie, suggested like if you're using P3 around 50 or 60 pound, P5 I'd say about 80 pound, and if you're using like say 80 pound braid or 90 pound braid, probably up around that 100 plus. If you want to get a big one, okay. There's a lot of big fish out there. Especially how many guys fish down Tweedway? Fish down Tweedway. If you do get a chance, get down there. Deep Southern's probably at the home of the biggest kings on the Gold Coast, and it's very, very, very hard to get them off the bottom down there. Sorry, but there's heaps of them there, heaps. So sometimes we go down there, we'll lose 15 jigs and not get a big. We'll get a smaller fish up, but not the big ones. They just smash it. So you got that marker there tonight. We'll go through that later as well. It's about a similar distance to going that way to that way. It's about 40 k's, okay, 43 k's. Yep. Okay. That's the leader, Stu. We've done the hooks. We've done everything else. Okay. Now we're going to head out to the spot. We've got our lures. as Stu was saying before, get yourself a jig bag, have it all prepared nice and neat in some way. Jigs are hard to store. Okay? And if you put them in plastic boxes, they'll break because it's too heavy for the box. So it's got to be a wallet of some type. Okay, this situation here. So this is actually pretty well close to, I will show this mark now if you want to grab your little sheets out. Probably a good idea to bring a panel along to, if you don't have one, to these outings, these nights. Do you mind if I ask for you any further? How many guys here have a boat that size, I know you, Chris, under 5 metres? Okay, how big's your boat, matey? 4.9. That's fine, that's cool. So look, it's 40 k's roughly out to the 50 fathom reef, and it's by far the best area for us to jig kings. You do get them on the 36 fathoms, which we'll talk about a bit later, and you will get them in even around the diamond reef at the moment as well, because that Wonderland's doing wonderful things for the kingies at the moment. So they do wander off Wonderland, and quite a few customers are catching kingies now that are 15 kilos in on the 24s, and that's where they're from, because the divers tell us there's so many kingies swimming around Wonderland at the moment. So that's a great thing for us. Why that didn't happen on the artificial reef off the blocks
Yeah.
or around the FAD 1, I don't know, but it definitely works at Wonderland. So you can't fish in the area there because it's off limits, but they're venturing from there out to the 18 or 24 fathom reefs, and there's quite a few guys catch them now as bycatch for snapper, float lining, whatever. But if you found the bait fish and jigged the 24s now, there's a chance of a big king sitting on it. So if your boat's not that big and you want to have a crack, I'd start there. Okay. But this spot here we're talking about here right now, we'll come back to the marks a bit later, but this one here is 27, well, from 27.42, which is on the 80 to 120 metre mark, 27.42, and I go across, it's 153.43, all the way down to 27.43.43. It's around about a 3 kilometre ledge that's sort of broken in different areas, and it's been a spot I've been fishing since the 90s. Oh, yep, sorry, since the 90s, yeah. And this the west side's got a big wall. So here it's about 88 metres deep, roughly speaking, and then it comes up to about 80 metres on the top. So it's like a nearly 30-foot high wall, and it's nearly vertical, slightly bit angled on some areas, but most of it's pretty straight. And then on the top, they sit up on the top there. Sometimes they're all on the western side. I've been found them on the western side, just sitting out in the paddock. But most of the time they're up on the top, and they'll be down that side as well. So when we go out fishing, we want to have an idea based upon the wind where we're going to go. So if it's going to be blowing, if your day's off Sunday, say for example, it's blowing 15 knots from the southeast, you've got to make the decision whether you're going to go north and have a nice trip up, but the wind's going to come up more during the day and have a crap trip 40 k's all the way back against the wind, or to go south when it's not too bad in the morning and come back with the wind, which isn't too bad. So that's the decision you've got to make first up. And then the second decision you're going to make is check the current. So you jump onto the computer and look at the currents on BOM. There's 3. Or jump on Windy has currents as well, Stu, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Windy has current as well. So see what the current's doing. So if the current's over 2 knots and the wind's going to be 15 knots, it's going to be a bit crappy. Because the current's always going south, but most of the time the wind's coming from the south, so it sort of meets up. Does that make sense? And stands up the swell a bit more. In saying that, though, if it's a westerly wind, which you do get this time of year, and it's blowing 15 knots, I probably wouldn't go out to the 50 fathom reef because that's 15 knots at the seaway's 30 out there, so it's terrible. So don't worry about a westerly. If it's only 5 or 10 knots, that's cool. So I've looked at the weather chart and it's saying southwest in the morning at say 10 knots and then 10 to 15 knots northeast in the afternoon. I'm definitely going to go north, 100%, because I've got up my backside going out and up my backside coming back. So that's the perfect scenario, But if it's going to be blowing southeast and stay southeast all day, I'm probably going to go not that reef. I'm going to go down towards deep southern, down Tweed Way. But you'll need a New South Wales license to fish down there, which you can get, I think, 3 years, about $80 or something.
Yeah.
Worth the money. To get that in one Kingfish. Yeah. So we'll come back to the marks one, but just this area here, I said 2742 down 2743 is this ledge here, this exact ledge. And this is where we fished the other day as well, guys, just to let you know that. And we've done the top, the middle, the bottom end, and fish everywhere. They're all the way through. Didn't matter. Pretty well where we went. Yeah. So the other day, they were stacked like this. They were up on the top, and there were some fish actually right up high too, which I think were the ones that Stu was getting all the time. But most of the spots, there's a few fish up high. So you've got to learn to zoom your window in on your sounder. Really important. So when I'm out in that 85, 90 metre mark, I'm normally looking from around 60 to about 90. So about 25 to 30 metre window. Only when I'm chasing snapper, it's a 10 metre window because they're down the bottom, right? Normally, or pretty close to it. But with kings, they can be 25 metres off the bottom. So you need to understand, don't just zoom in. Although you will see them on the 0 to 100 metre line, you'll still see a little patch there. But when you zoom in on this side, so here's looking just that area there, between 62 and 92 metres here. Okay, and that's that bottom zoomed up bigger. So now we can see the fish there. We can see the fish here on the bait. This is bait. And there's a lot of kings on it. There's kings down the side of the reef as well. And there's kings on the west side. So if the wind was blowing, let's get some pens here. If the wind was blowing, say, northwest, and there's a bit of current going to the south, so I'm going to drift to the south only, a little bit of east in it. I'm probably going to start on this side of the reef, which is maybe here. Okay. And that pinnacle I might have marked around here. And then down the bottom end here, I might have marked around here. And then that's that one particular spot here, which might be a distance of about, say, 300 or 400 metres. Yeah, well, that's 150 metres there. So again, zoom into about a 150 metre like a radius, whatever you call it, scale on your GPS, and that'll then sort of give you a roundabout, probably 700 metres on your screen in total, if that makes sense. So most of the reef's only about that size anyhow. So you can really see where you are. And I want to start on this side of the drift here, maybe boost out a bit further. And I want to come up that edge. So hopefully I've got my line at the bottom and I can jig up this side here and get a fish from that. But that's where the bigger ones live. And they're the ones that get you on that wall. Okay. A little small, there's a few big ones here too, but down the side, they're not as big as that side. So it depends how game you are. If you don't lose gear, start here, start your drift here. If you want to be adventurous, go west about 100 metres and hopefully it's blowing northwest and your drift will come. So that reef there, like that pinnacle's there, and you've come up the wall sort of here. Imagine this is the wall, then it's sort of dropping back down over here. And this area here is where those big fish are. So I've started up here. I'll probably go up about here and start my drift up here. And hopefully my line's just fallen down around here, which is on this spot here that I've got marked as an X. And I'll start jigging straight away. Okay, as soon as it hits the bottom, you jig straight up, don't you? Hits the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah, our friend Timmy, he's a bit different. When he jigs, he does a figure 8 first. We don't know why he does it. He does a figure 8. Is that how he does it?
I think he just draws pictures in the sky with his rod tip, to be honest with you. But
he does it every drop
he
though.
does, yeah.
And he gets fish. So I don't know. But
some weird juju thing he's got going on.
So coming down here, so we've hooked the fish up here. And I'll probably mark that from a previous time. And then now we're about to hit that there. So I probably wouldn't have that fish up by the time I get to there. I'm going to miss that because those take too long to get up. They fight too bloody hard, you know. So maybe your mate might hook up one here as well on that spot there. That's like the holy grail because there's so much bait and activity happening. The size, there could be a big one as amongst there as well. And then I've got my fish in around here. And I know I'm coming up to these fish here. And I'll drop down again and hopefully land somewhere in this vicinity. And then I'll hopefully get the fish up. But otherwise, old mate that got the fish on here, he might drop down around here and just get the tail end of it. Once I get past here, I know there's no kings normally. And I've probably got lines like that from previous times I've drifted as well on my screen everywhere. And I've got my little marks on there, so I know exactly where these spots are. I'm on the ledge there. Does that make sense? So leave your plot trail on, leave your lines on there. It gets a bit messy, but change the colour if you get a bit confused about it all. Just change the colour of the plot trail, and you'll know where you are again. So that's if the wind was blowing from the northwest. If the wind was blowing from the northeast, then I need to start my drift on the bottom side, which will start over here maybe, and I'll come back on this sort of angle here. And then I'll have to adjust up. So if I've got spots that spot there, if it's like if I want to land, if I want to start on the up end of it, that makes sense, on the deep part, then I'll need to go up further, right? Because I want to land on that spot as I'm drifting south with the northeast wind. Does that make sense? You just got to work it out. So as we always say, when you get out there, before you even do anything, just pull up, just leave the motor going, and see which way you're drifting. And then when you work out which way you're drifting, then just run parallel with it. So if that was my first, we'll get rid of that one there because that's a bit confusing. But if I was here and I just done my blind drift out here on this angle, and I always do it away from the reef because I don't want the sound of pinging away although I haven't got a line down. Well, at least I'm going to have a line down if I'm going on the top of my good reef, right? So I'm away a bit from it. And then if I do see fish on the sounder, I will mark it while I'm just doing that dummy drift as well. But what I'll do then is I'll go back up and I'll start here and try and run parallel with that drift because I know that's the angle I'm going to drift on. So I line it all up, if that makes sense. And then do the drift. Any questions on that at all? So Stewie is saying, Stewie, if you're jigging, how are you going to do it, mate? If you're jigging, say here, which we were the other day on the deep side.
Yeah. So I'm going to drop it down all the way to the bottom, obviously. As soon as it touches the bottom, I always like to fish straight away, only because I don't want to drag the jig at all because you just get too many snags. It's heavy. It's already pummeled down there. So you already run the risk straight up. The other day, we didn't get too many snags, but it was good. And then the first part, I generally just wind quick just to get good tension on the jig. I don't start jigging if it's not 100% tight. So if you've still got that little bit of belly of leftover line after you've dropped it down and the wind's blowing a bit of line out or whatever, you can't jig slack. So by trying to jig slack, by trying to jig slack, you're just moving that lure on the bottom and it's not really moving and you get more snags. So I wind up quick, the rod loads up, and then I'm into it. So I'll mechanical jig or whatever I'm doing, slow pitch or fast, but it's not too bad. Quite often when you pick up that slack and your rod loads and you're just winding up straight at the time before you even jig, you get one straight away. I just like fast stuff. Yeah.
And even when your lure's going down at the great rate of knots on the way down and in the zone in this area here, quite often it'll stop. You've actually got one on the fall as well. And that's why those new OSHA jiggers, the slow fall ones, have a lever. So when it's going down, you actually push the lever up and stop it and stop it and stop it as it's going down. And you actually hook up that way before you even start the jig. Yeah, quite clever. But you can use your thumb doing that too. But you've got to remember to hit the handle real quick when you hook up. Okay. Always preset your drag too. Another real important thing. If your drag's too tight and you hook up those kings, you're going to snap straight off. If it's too loose, you just lift up and it'll spool to spin and nothing will happen. You've got to just get that right tension, make sure it's right. Yeah. We check our drags all the time. The reels shouldn't alter, but they do.
They do a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other biggest thing is, I mean, like what deciphers a jig reel from a standard reel? There's a few little things, like obviously you've got a bigger handle, so it is a lot easier to jig and get that rhythm. The other thing is you've got, when you turn the handle, it engages. So if you do get hit on the way down, you don't have to worry about flicking it up and flustering in the moment. You just turn the handle and you're into it. You're done. So, yeah.
On the better ones.
On the better ones.
Yeah. And guys, that's probably about understanding that part there. So we've jigged up there, we've hooked one up, dropped down there, hooked one up maybe. If we didn't get one through that, which I'd be very surprised about, but if you get one in this area here, keep coming up because there's that school there on the way up. So keep coming right up to probably 50 metres because they'll follow it up another 15 or so metres. So you're not quite at the top, but you're halfway up. Yeah. And if the line's out too far, it's worse. Either if you've got your rod there, just quickly go up and just reverse it back a little bit. Just slowly, don't go too fast. Just reverse back up until the guys say stop. That means the line's vertical, and then just get into it again. Yeah. But hopefully, most days you don't have to reverse that much. But I'd still keep the motor going anyhow. Yeah. Yep. Any questions on that at all? All good? Okay. Good. Okay, so we've got the fish on, and the first thing I do, as Stuart said before, they're going to run hard. It doesn't matter if it's that big or that big, they'll run hard. One thing I've learned with really big fish is that the more you give it to them, the more they give it to you. You've got to learn to just do little pumps, keep the weight on the whole time, and just ease it up, and eventually it'll come up. If you go hard on it and try and get him a bit, he'll go hard as well, and your colours go the reverse. And you know it's in danger zone down there. Second thing is if you've got a fish on and it's quite a good one and you're coming up, and then it goes really hard, there's normally a shark up its arse. Okay? And we had that happen quite a lot the other day. Unfortunately, I didn't. I was driving the boat, but you guys did. The problem with that, Stu, is you can't really get away from it, can you?
Can't really, nah. You just got to make a lot of ground when they're swimming upwards. Just keep your line tight, you know.
Don't lift your rod too high. Just remember that. I don't know if you guys know about how rods work. Just quickly, if Stu wants to pull on the end of that, so if I high stick it,
which is like
that, like Stewie's not pulling much on there at all, Stu, at the moment, right? But if I go down and Stewie pulls on the same amount, like that's for me, that's a lot of pressure. Like that's hurting Stewie a bit more. Is that?
Yeah.
I mean, like you can feel me pulling on hard, even though.
That's right. Yeah.
But if I come up high, I can feel Stewie's. I haven't got much control of it. No. So try and keep your rod always in about no more than that height from down low. And if you're dead straight, it's really hurting the fish. Okay, but trying to keep the weight on at the same time. So when you see little kids, they didn't have a habit of getting big fish in because they just wind it, they keep it straight. So they're hurting the fish the most by doing nothing. Does that make sense? Well, we're trying to look like we're big game fish, we're trying to whatever. It's not doing the right job. So, but if you got the fish up its backside, point the rod at it and just lift a little bit, just one, as much as you can. Let's do it. Try and gain as much ground as you can. And then when you get the fish close to the boat, the shark is still up its backside. The other day, we had a big whale, so I just about slammed inside the boat. Did one hit the boat one time? I think
I got pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah. Like right next to the boat. And the fish will go crazy on the top as well. Kings go crazy on the top. So you just got to try and control it around the shark. And hopefully your mate brings up his and he gets done when you get your fish in the boat. But,
Dougie's a really good team player.
Yeah, that's right.
But the other thing is, like, I mean, I tail a lot of fish, or you grab the jig and you just got to watch out because the sharks will eat it right at the boat side.
So the other day, this is us, like the guys caught well over 20 something fish. I don't know how many. We kept obviously our bag limit, which is 2 each. And but the gaff we used, it was one of Timmy's. I don't know. He said come with the boat.
Yeah, it broke on the
but
second
it broke
fish.
on the second fish. So we had no gaff, and we had 18 more fish. And on the first fish, the shark was about slammed inside the boat. This is why across the head. We go, okay. And in his boat, because it's a bigger boat, you got to reach over, and it's quite. He nearly fallen out of the boat to grab the fish. If that makes sense. So who's going to be the one that's going to grab the fish? So get the youngest guy, because they're flexible. They can sort of reach over and grab it. But we might go in the water. But we never lost the fish to by hand. It was true. So either grab by the tail and just give a big whiff into the boat, or put your hands in its gills and grab it there as well.
Yeah, like it's easy when they're by the side of the boat to grab the jig. You'll bend it easy as.
Yeah, you'll bend the jig.
So
don't grab the jig.
If you're going to grab it at the top end and grab like where the assist hooks are and lift it that way.
Yeah. Just be careful. The hook. There's a single hook and it flicks. It may get you. So be careful of that. Yeah. probably, and it's hard to grab them by the tail because they're swimming away.
Mm.
And hopefully you don't get that situation. You've got a couple of gaffs in the boat. And when you do gaff them, always do a headshot. So always I say, wind up as close as you can, grab the leader, pull the leader, come on the head, in the head, and straight in the boat. Okay. Kingy. So when you get a kingy to the boat, if you want to do sashimi or whatever, definitely brain spike. And we spiked everything the other day, just with a spike. That's the Icky spike. What's the app?
Icky Jimmy.
Icky Jimmy, yeah. Get the Icky Jimmy app on your phone, and it shows you exactly where to put it in the head. Okay. It's a free app, and it's a great app, and it's in 3D. It does all different things, but you are hitting it more or less. Are you guys okay with this now? If I get rid of this? Yep. Mouse, something like that. Be right.
This is why we don't sell artwork, because I want to sinkers.
Anyhow, the gill plate comes up like that, but normally it's in this spot right about here. So in this area here. It's about there somewhere. Does that make sense? And when you push it in, like any fish, you push it in, they sort of curl up and they'll shake, and that's it. It's all done. Quick and easy. The next thing to do is to make sure you have an ice slurry of some type. Now, ice is so, even in winter, you've got to have ice. If you want to have that flesh really firm and nice and not soft, you need ice slurry. 2 bags of, or 3 bags of ice to 1 bucket of salt water. Okay? So 3 to 1. Even tools like that little type thing will work as well. Just spike it in the head. You don't need to go very far. Okay. Any questions on that side of things? Spiking them? No,
I bleed them as well. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
generally bleed
Sorry,
them
yeah.
before I spike them, so they
Yeah.
pump out a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think both techniques work. If you haven't got a spike, then obviously bleed, cut its throat. We bled them the other day. Actually, we did both. Bled
we've
them as
done
well.
both,
Yeah. And the flesh was beautiful. Really nice.
Yep.
And then I've got some stuff downstairs. I don't know if Misako is watching. If you are watching, though, if you can bring me that we do this wrap stuff that's from Japan. We bring it from Japan. And who eats sashimi here first before going further? And who wants to give it a crack? If you don't, you should be doing it. Very, very nice, especially kingfish. But you wrap it in this clear material, like a plastic, and it takes all the moisture out of the flesh. So it's what the sashimi chefs use. They always have it wrapped in this material. It's clear stuff. And believe it or not, that clear, I don't know how it does it, but that when you go to take it off the next day, it's actually, there's fluid in the plastic, if that makes sense. And the meat's perfect. It's like not dry, not wet at all. It's sort of semi-dry, sort of, not semi-dry, but it's just perfect anyhow. Misako was listening. Thanks, Doug. That's it. Thank you. That's it, Stewie. So I'll pass this around. But incredible. It's amazing stuff. Yeah.
It's like those 2 films.
Flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about sheet about as big as that. And you just put your flesh in there, maybe a bit bigger, and then just put it at the top and put it in the fridge. Okay. And then next day, when you unwrap it, it's all the moisture's in the plastic, and this is just perfect sitting on there, ready to cut up.
Okay. One use, or how do you get the water out?
One use. Yeah, but there's about 10 sheets now, I think, or something like 6 sheets or 10 sheets. Yeah. So the best thing about Kingfish and Amberjack is the eating qualities of it. So, like my suggestion is to try sashimi and don't cut it too thick. I'd probably run about 3 mil or 4 mil at the thickest, and sort of medallion size or size of your thumb maybe in size. Okay. Otherwise, if you cook it up just normal, it's fantastic. Okay, getting back to the fishing scene though. Okay, so we've got our fish. We've brain spiked it. We cut it. When you're filleting it, big knife. They're quite deep, so you need about a 7-inch or a 9-inch knife. Up to you guys what you're going to use, but something that's reasonably flexible, but long. Yeah, what about that long? Yeah, 9-inch. That's good. Does anyone not know how to fillet fish here at all? Next time we get some kingfish, I'll do a video on how to fillet. because we filled lots of them. And watch the video and learn from how we do it. It's a basic technique, very easy. Similar to mackerel and jewies and stuff like that. And actually, kingfish, the bones, the rib cage is very thin compared to, say, a jewie or something, so it's very easy to fill it. Very, very easy. And the fattiest, best part, and the reason we're going to put it on ice is the belly part for sashimi is the best. It's got the most fat content in it, and that's why you got to keep it cold. Okay. Or you can cook it, of course. Yep. Okay. We've done the gaff part. Stewie, we're going to do the marks now. Go through the marks, and then we're going to go tell you a little bit more. Oh, before I go any further, sorry, forgot a whole area. Electric reels. Who has electric reels here? Okay, a few of you do. So we jigged the other day, or I jigged the other day with electric reel, and I had a quick crack at doing that. I said, Stu, I can't do it. You're going to wind up. It's hurting too much. Even just hold the rod and wind it up. But Stu goes, no, wait, you're doing it wrong. He goes, just drop it to the bottom, and when it hits the bottom, just put it into gear, flat chat, so it's coming up fast, and then just lift the rod up and down. And don't wind it, of course, just lift it up and down. Because it's coming up with the electric motor on, right? And I did that straight away, hooked up, and then I got sharked. And then I kept on coming again because I had 2 lots of hooks on, and I got the king straight away. And then I put the rod away. But that's all you do. You just push it up flat chat and just jig the rod up and down like that. Okay. There are jig functions on this reel though that stops, goes, stops, goes, stop, goes. But Stu's method is a lot quicker and easier.
It's just easier. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's going to be heavy to hold on to. That's all, Chris. Yeah, yeah, you are. So, other than that, techniques like I used to fish a guy named David. He's a really good jigger. He's one of the Gold Coast best jiggers back in the 2000s, I guess, early 2000s, and he was really good, Stu, Dave. But and he taught me many techniques, and he actually did what Timmy does. He used to do a figure 8, but what he used to do, so when the fish are a little bit quiet and you jig it away and get the rhythm right and it's not happening, what he'd do is he'd drop down the bottom and he'd do like a big swirl like that as he's jigging and pull the lure over there, I guess, and then it'll fall back down that way. And he smashed it. So we tried after that and did well. I think it's when you hook up, it's a bit weird, right? Because it's not vertical. So... But different techniques, as I said, timing is impeccable. But as I said, my kids have been jigging since they were little, especially Jack, who's been doing it since he was about 8 at chasing kingies. And he was always hooked up to fish because he played them how we don't play them. He played them flat. And his technique was just a little bit slower, I guess. So Stu, you were slowing down the other day as well, mate, I noticed sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can see that, before, that many fish on the sounder and then not eating, you got to change something. You're doing something wrong. So it's just that simple. You just change until you get a bite and then you just do that.
So go back to slow pitch.
No right or wrong.
Yeah, no right or wrong. Yep. Any questions at all so far? No? You guys are all good for it? Okay. So anything that we've missed on besides this? Okay, sashimi knives. We've got a whole range of sashimi knives as well now, which you obviously use for bait knives, whatever, but this is a bit better quality, Japanese made, Japanese steel. But you can just use it whatever knife you want. Wet the knife though, okay, to cut the meat. What else we got, right? Anything else?
Just marks.
Oh yeah, we'll go through the marks.
Well.
Okay, the marks. Okay, for those who asked before. So most of you guys got boats around that 6 metre mark, so you can go anywhere you want, really. Obviously, depending on the weather. Just to give you an idea, I'll probably write this down. Just the 3 golden rules before you go fishing in the morning. Check the night before, then check in the morning before you go out. Is just check on if you're going to go off the Gold Coast. This will give you some idea. It's a turbo pen. So Southport Wave Buoy, okay, that's the first thing you check. That'll give you the wave buoy off sort of SeaWorld area there. That's the first thing. Next one is current, weather, observations. Does anyone check that? You should. You can put down Queensland if you want. Save all these on your phone somewhere in your notes or whatever, so just click on it whenever. But this one here, what it does, this one here, it'll give you like a whole list of what the current weather's doing, wind-wise, and the pressure and that sort of stuff, all the way down the coastline. So I don't need to click on Brisbane weather observation, or Moreton Island, sorry, Moreton. And I'll check also Southport. And because we're in that like bay like this, and that's sort of North Stratty, and that's Tweed, and Moreton's here, and that the thing's measuring out here. So southerly wind out here is like sitting on the 50s, or not quite, pretty close to sitting on the 50 fathom reef. So whatever's blowing at Moreton, I know it's going to be blowing that out on the 50s. Okay, but at the seaway here, the little boy's sitting in here, the measure at seaway, and it's saying like 10 knots from the southeast, but the forecast is maybe up to 15. Like it was today, 10, 15 was the forecast today with 20 knots occasionally. This morning, Stu went out for a flatty fish. It was blowing about 10 knots straight up pretty well.
Yeah, it would have been 10 to 15 knots, and it was like 25 knots by 8 o'clock. It was horrible.
Yeah, it was 26 at Moreton at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah. When
you're going to go out. So, because I checked on the thing. So what I'm saying is check this one and see what's blowing at Cape Moreton at here, CM. And that'll give you some idea what's been blowing like out wider. But if it's only blowing 5 knots, I'm going to put this throttle down and go hard and get out there, right? The next one is, so we check the wave buoy, the wave height. We check that there. Just check Gold Coast radar, because sometimes we get storms coming up in September. And September's actually the best month for jigging, guys. Just let you know that too. September's the best, okay? So you're just coming into it. So just Gold Coast radar or Southport radar. I think it's Gold Coast radar. And check on around about, how many kilometres is it, Stuart?
It's Mount Stapleton.
Yeah, Mount Stapleton, yeah,
It's
sorry.
125k radar loop.
If you type up that and come up Mount Stapleton, I think it's 128 actually, 128 kilometre. And 128 kilometre, because that's inland about 15 or 20 kilometres from the shoreline, 15 k's something. So if you're out on the 50s, you're about 60k from the radar, 70k from the radar. And if you just type in the 64k one, it's just borderlining if there's any storms out to sea or any storms coming. So just check that as well. And the current, for the current, you can do windy and click on the current, or you can do bomb and click on the current as well. Okay, and that's for current. And the last thing is, if you haven't got it already, it's about $80 a year though, but it's worth it, is to get the Navionics app on your phone if you haven't got it, okay? So Navionics Boating, it's called. Navionics Boating. So Navionics Boating runs relief shading on their GPS map, okay? So you can see all those rises that we're talking about on these GPS marks here on your map. So when you wake up, before you go to bed, I always check the wave buoy and I check the current weather, maybe not Moreton at that time. And I won't worry about the radar, I'll just check those two. And then when I wake up in the morning at 3:30 or 4 o'clock, first thing I do is check and see if there's been a spike in the swell, because there's a spike coming through again this week on Sunday, I think it's, or Monday. It's going to be 5 meters on the sets again, like it was a couple of days ago. Huge. And it just spikes overnight. And the few customers that we've had that have had boating accidents have all had it where they haven't checked it before, and they've gone out because it was only 1 meter the night before, and they've hit a 4 meter wave and had big problems. And then I'll check the weather observations at Moreton, like I said before, and the seaway. If it looks not too bad, the last thing I might just check, only in September, October, when you get storms, is check the storms in the morning. Don't want to get them, because some of those fronts can be 40 knots or 50 knots. And if it's against the current, it gets a bit ugly. And if you want to check the current, that one there's actually probably done the day before as well. To check what the current's doing, to give you some idea. Does that all make sense? Okay, good.
Do you find moon phase
Oh yeah.
has much to play with?
Yeah, it does. It does like all fishing. So there's 3 bite times in a day, guys. So there's actually more than that, but the morning and afternoon is always a good bite time because the sun's setting or rising. The next bite time would be high tide or low tide. So just imagine they're like classes 1 bite, high or low, and then the third bite's always 2 hours after high, which is your major bite time. So it's 10 o'clock in the morning. What was it the other day, Stu? I think it was 3. We waited for it. 2 or 3 o'clock, I think it was.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was a late one. No, it doesn't matter. They just come on the bite.
Yep.
Sometimes we go deep dropping and it'll say, high tide's at 11, so 1 o'clock bite time or 1:30 in the middle of the day, and next minute there's nothing happening, and then all of a sudden you get the same drift, and next minute the rod's just like that. Flatties, doesn't matter. Just that 2 hours after high seems to be a really good time. Yeah.
Any time.
It's because it's to do with the moon rising. It's when the moon rises on the horizon, sort of thing. Yeah.
On the moon, there you're finding a new moon, full moon.
Yeah, good call. Good call. So, look, we are a little bit tide affected out in the deeper water with the moon. It normally can run when the moon's big. Because there's Great Ocean Southern Current, the Nemo Current, the highway, which is just comes in and goes, depends on the big eddy that's happening. And then there's tidal. We have two lots of movements. The other one's tidal movement. So on full moon, new moon, there's a lot more run the water. So it can affect a little bit, enhance from 1 knot to maybe 2 knots. But if it's a small tide, it just stay at 1 knot, right? But that's only a little bit. It's not much. It's not like another 3 knots of current, like it's in the seaway. So, but the eddies that form here can be quite strong. You can have 2 knots going north as well. But when the current runs north here, guys, if you go there and you're drifting north against the northerly wind, they're probably not going to bite. They just hate it. They don't like northerly current. No. Northerly's the worst. Northerly wind's the worst, and northerly current's the worst. Okay, so if you've got southerly current or southerly winds or easterly, that's good. But when you've got anything to do with the north, I don't know how it works, but it just doesn't shut them down. And it can be the moon rising and that sort of stuff too. But windy will show you the fish bite. Oh, that's the other thing. Windy will show it. If you don't mind just rubbing that top one off. There's another one too, which is really good. I've been using it a bit lately just to see how it goes. It's very, very accurate. And it's called Fishing Reminder. Does anyone use that at all? So Fishing Reminder is a very good bite time app. It has tides and that sort of stuff as well. It's a free app. And it's online as well. Fishing Reminder. It's one word, okay? And it works really well as well. Okay, so we've worked out where we're going to go, what weather we got. So let's look at our marks and see where we're going to go. So the under 70 metre ones, is anyone here from Brisbane at all? You are, right? Yeah, you guys from Brisbane. So there's a few marks there up off Moreton Way and down, sort of halfway down Moreton in the under 70 metres. I think one's around, is it Henderson's the one in the middle? Which is the one in the middle that's a preserve? A rock. Okay, just don't go there. That's all right. It's a green zone. But one of these marks is pretty close to it. I think it's out of, just check, but I think it's out of the green zone. Another app. Sorry, guys. I want to teach you guys all this. So there's another app, one more. You got to have this on your phone as well. And it's called Queensland Fishing 2.0. Okay. So it's an app from the government, and it works on satellite as well as data. And what that one does is you can see anywhere in the green zone if you're in the green zone. They want to be in the green zone, but it says, can I fish here? You push on that little button, and it'll straight away show, it can be at like 100 k's out to sea, it'll work on the satellite, not your data. And it'll show you where you are if you're on the green zone or not. And then it'll also, you can go to what fish is that, so you can check the fish as well. And if you keep it and size limits and bag limits out at sea, when you can't normally get, you can't use the excuse I couldn't get data to see what the size was. This one does it for you. So it's a great app. Okay, Fishing 2.0. Okay, now we're going to have the third go at the marks. Anything you want to add to that, Stewie?
No.
That's it. Comprehensive. Okay, so guys from Brisbane, those first few marks are up your way. Then 27.48 is about off jumping pin. Look, the 36 fathom reefs is a very good spot to catch kings as well, but you've got to fish the outside edge. Okay, they're not on the 50s. They're generally on the inside of the top, but on the 36s they're on the outside edge. So it drops down from 63 to 68 or something like that. So 27.40. 43 is about the jumping pin bar. So this one's the south of pin bar. And we go right down to 28.11, which is down up Tweed Heads. So all those marks you can try for kings. And some big amberjacks coming off the 36 as well. But really, in this seminar, we're concentrating on the 50 fathoms because that's the best spot for kings. I think you might have heard before, but a few years ago, we did a couple of trips on, I think it was on Gavin's boat, Superobe, and also on Jared Weir's boat. Jigging with our customers, we booked the boats out for a couple of days. Guys all paid the money. We went out, we jumped on the boat and showed these guys how to jig at the time. And the first day we got, I think it was 86 kings between 8 people and amberjack, and all on jigs. And the second trip we got 68, I think it was. So you just can't catch that many on bait. I can tell you that now. You can't. Jigs are the other go. Yeah, we actually had a debate down in Sydney last week at the boat show. Tim Simpson, what bait versus lures? He goes on to lures. I said, well, I'm not going to lose on bait because you can't catch as many fish on bait as you can on lures, because lures just are the best. So for kings especially. So get over now to 85 to 120 metres. So we're up on the 50 fathoms. Again, gentlemen from Brisbane, you got 26.58. It's about probably off Bribey, so top end of Morton sort of thing. And then you've got quite a few marks, 27.35 sort of off Point Lookout. That makes sense. So you've got that. There's a few marks there. The 27.38 off jump in starts about 27.43, so which is at the bottom of that mark I was talking about earlier. So anything from there is north, and then south of 43, you're talking south of jumping pin. When you get off the seaway here, so the golden rule for many years I've been jigging kings is that they'll start northeast and they'll be here till end of August or early September, and then they seem to rock up off the seaway, straight up from the seaway or sort of Southport or surface on that 28.00, 28.01, 28.03. There's a lot of reef out there. And that's actually where we fished in September on charter boats. Was out there and got the numbers. We didn't get many real big ones. The biggest probably about 14 kilo, but we got lots of that size. We get the other day 4 to 8 kilos. So they're pretty hardy. Like if you want to just get them to have fun like we did the other day and turf them back, they all swim away. They're pretty good. Yeah. And then we go right down to deep southern. So deep southern is around that 28, 12, and 153.46. Can you see that's the third one from the bottom on that right side?
Is that the one in Tweed Heads?
Tweed Heads, correct, yeah. So that 28.13 is a spot I found my brother Paul many years ago. It's only about a mile south, and it also produced really big kings and lots of them. The 28.13.
The one that you had on the board, was that the 27.44?
The one before was 27.42. 27.42 down to 27.43.
Yep.
And there's 4. It's all those marks along the ledge. I sort of done the top, a couple in the middle, and the bottom, which is exactly like that diagram before.
So all around the pin, were they?
Off the jump pin, yep.
From 40 to or 42?
40 from 42. But those 40 marks, they're just in a tiny bit from that mark. One's pretty in line with it, up a bit higher. But the 40 and the 39 mark, they're spots that really done well there too. The Kings there have been like just school up to the max. And they're all in the same vicinity. So you've got so many marks in that area. That's why I like going northeast. You've got probably, well, I've probably got about 30 marks, but you've got about 10 on here. I've got the 20 bad ones. You've got the 10 good ones. But yeah, no, it's serious. You have, especially those 42 ones. But I don't like the years ago. I was used to keep quiet, but these days I want you guys to catch fish. So that's what it's all about. But the 40 and 39 marks at times go and have a look because they're really good as well. Okay? And when you go there, you see guys that know what they're doing. You see guys jigging, and they're always hooked up like we are. But other guys that you've just got to get that rhythm right. And I see them, and I think maybe they're not using the right jig, or sometimes they're not backing up either. Lines up there, they're trying to jig like this. The rod's on that angle, you know. You've got to keep it as vertical as you can. As Stewie said, put on bigger jig, put on a heavier jig. If you can't get down, just go heavier, and you'll start catching fish. Okay. Any questions on that at all?
Start lighter and go heavy.
Look, if I love slow pitching because it's easy, and they kept taking that on and keep doing that because it's more fun. I like gear, and if it's working, it's easy for you, you know. But as Stewie said, sometimes they want a reaction bite and they want fast. So it depends on the day. Yeah.
I reckon it's always easier to start with the hardest one.
Probably.
And as you get
yeah.
tired and lazy
Well,
throughout the day, then do the lazy stuff.
That's an age thing, though, isn't it?
I'm
Don't
with
worry.
you, I'm
The
with
age
you.
thing
I'm
is
with you.
the age thing is drive the boat until someone else catches them. Yeah.
No, that's clever.
That's
Is it?
where it's
Yeah,
not.
that's right. That's right. Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah, so getting outvoted is too. So, hey guys, what I want to say was the other day. I know that it's a closure of snapper at the moment, but we were getting 70 centimetre snapper, hitting fast jigs like you wouldn't believe, and just turfing them back. But anyhow, you do you do. But snapper on the if we had to use slow pitch, we didn't use slow pitch the other day because we only had more intended deep dropping. But you would have brain to snapper out there. So if you're going to get snapper after next Friday, as it reopens, 16th anyhow, whatever day that is.
16th, yeah.
Not this Friday, the following one, which I think is good weather, by the way. Yeah, it's the air show too on Saturday. That's right. So that Saturday, I remember a few years ago when it was on first started, 3 years ago it was. We went out snapper fishing in close, got some snapper actually with span crab too. Then we went and watched the air show. Yeah. Yeah, I know there's a big swell coming, as I was saying, so be careful. But getting back to bycatch, you got snapper, pearlies. We got pearlies fast jigging the other day, which was unusual too. Couldn't believe it. I think everything's hungry tonight. I don't know. They were whatever it was. They're just hungry. They're smashing it. But you get a lot of bycatch as well. So, and remember, if you get that really big one on, and it's not a shark, you probably even if there's a shark around, you better take it easy because it's the only way you get it up. You'll get you otherwise on the bottom. And it's the only way to keep the shark away because they work on the fish's stress. So the fish is stressed and you're going hard and it's going hard, it's going to come and just mow it down. But if you're going slow, there's a good chance you might get that fish up. Yeah. It's at the last minute you try and get it in the boat quick. Yeah. And I think that's about all I need to tell you about. Anything, Stu, you want to add to the equation there, mate?
No, I don't think so.
No.
No, all pretty good.
Okay, so you got the marks, you got all know about the gear, got the gear, whatever. It's all good. Go get them. Yeah.
When you
Okay.
say slow jigging, is
Yeah.
it just the same as fast jigging, just the same technique? Just slower, or-
It's a little bit different. So you're trying to keep in touch with the jig the whole time. Does that make sense? So the action. I've got your rod there, Stu. That one's. It's not. He's showing me how you do it, actually.
Oh, I just kind of, I like loose line. So I'll like long, slow draw up and then throw the rod at the water and have that little bit of a loose line so it does drop back down.
We're unwinding down with it, sort of
Yeah.
keeping in contact with it. But
Yeah.
but Stu likes the little jigs to do what it does.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot less aggressive.
A lot less aggressive.
Yeah.
And that's why it's good for us older folk.
Yeah.
Softer rod.
And softer rod, so it
Yeah.
doesn't hurt us as much either. Yeah, so it's just whichever way you want to do it, you know. Yeah, and sort of as it goes down, I'm taking up the slack and ready to go again, you know. But one thing I have learned with slow jigging is, and it really gets the fish going, is when you've done the first couple of drops and lift it up, actually keep it up and get your hand like this because that's where the noise hit, and shake it, and then drop it. And as soon as you drop it, whambo, they mark it.
Drop a face
Yeah.
bubble or just that back?
No, just let it back down. Yeah, keep them going down with it pretty well. So shake it and drop it down. No, not on slow pitch. Not on slow pitch. No.
He does a signature of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, doing the bees like an ape. Anyhow, that's all good. Okay, that's it, I think. So, guys, go there and get it, but just be careful of the swell, please.
You were talking about getting sharked.
Yes,
Have
lots.
you sounder on or off once you've actually sounded
Yeah,
drift
look,
and everything else? What's your thoughts on
If
in
you could,
general, the sounder on, sounder off?
it's very hard not to back up. So the motor is probably more of a noise to them than even the sounder, maybe. But I think they both work in time,
In tandem.
in tandem
As
with
a
it.
dinner bell.
Yeah, it's a dinner bell, correct. But the fish, so that'll get them in the area, and then the fish, if the fish is stressing and going hard, then that's go down and get it.
Yeah.
That's the dinner served. So it's very difficult to turn, well, for me, it's very difficult to turn the motor off and not back up. So I've got to keep the motor going. So it's just a chance. The other day we actually moved a couple of times because the sharks was pretty
Yeah.
bad. So we just went to, you got so many marks there in the vicinity. Just get away from it. Go fast because they follow you otherwise. You go slow. And it's terrible. Hey? It's really bad. But yeah, get away from them and give it another crack. And then come back, which we did. We come back in the afternoon. We actually didn't. I
No
didn't get-
sharks in the arbour.
no sharks in the arbour.
Just in
Nah.
the morning.
Yeah, and it was,
Yeah.
but we already had a bag and just throwing fish back. But yeah, it's good. So, good luck on the sharks. Yeah, I get the draw day. Okay, we'll do the draw. So, any other questions, guys? Everyone's cleared up, ready to roll? Okay, awesome. So they'll come right through to November, so you know that too. Once that current gets too strong, they'll slow down a bit. But we've actually, you can get kings since probably April, May, but predominantly it's August, September,
So-
October.
You were saying they start north and start moving south.
Yeah, correct. But they're always south at the deep southern reef. They're residential big ones, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And definitely, as I said, got a bit of southerly blowing, and that's the way you want to go. Because if you go hug the coastline all the way down to, say, Kira, then you just go straight across side on with it. It's not too bad because it's like protected. It's like a bay. Yeah. Just got to watch for whales, though, if you go early. They're another contention. Whales, big swell, sharks. Goes on and on and on. Okay. Is that still going or turn
No, I
off?
don't know.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Cheers. Okay, so tonight we have got a couple of slow pitch rods as well.